feel like whiplash, like, wait, you just said that masks, we can remove the mask if you're vaccinated, but that was really before Delta.
ABC News contributor Dr. John Brownstein. Emotional testimony today from 4 police officers at the first hearing of a select House committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
D.C. police officer Michael Fanone didn't hold back when calling out lawmakers who have blocked efforts for an investigation, slamming his fist on the witness table when he said,
"The indifference shown to my colleagues is disgraceful."
In powerful testimony, Fanone said,
"Nothing, truly nothing, has prepared me to address those elected members of our government who continue to deny the events of that day, and in doing so, betray their oath of office."
Catherine Falders, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
A promise from President Biden to the intelligence community.
I'll never politicize the work you do. You have my word on that. It's too important for our country.
The president making his first visit to the Department of National Intelligence, also talking about the growing threats that China and Russia pose when it comes to cyber attacks. U.S. women's gymnastics wins Olympic silver at the team competition at the Games in Tokyo after Simone Biles withdrew, citing mental health concerns. You're listening to ABC News.
From the KMET Weather Center, for Beaumont, Banning, in the Pass area. For this afternoon, we'll have an abundance of sunshine with a high of 94. A mainly clear night tonight, low 72. Wednesday, sunny, high 96. For the Inland Empire this afternoon, we'll have a sunny sky with a high of 96. Palm Springs there will have plenty of sunshine and a high of 102. I'm meteorologist Jim Minaldi for Smart Talk 1490 KMET.
Summer in the Inland Empire. You know what that means. Sunny days and hot temperatures that make you want to stay inside. Franklin Mechanical Systems can repair or replace your air conditioning unit to get it working cool before the heat hits. For cleaning, repair, or a new installation, call them for a free estimate. Franklin Mechanical Systems for all your residential and commercial air conditioning needs. Call their Beaumont office at 951-845-1000. That's 951-845-1000 and get cool today. The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates. The WK Law Power Hour is here to take you from zero to hero in legal knowledge in 60 minutes. A law firm with 40 years of experience is ready to give you legal guidance you need for free. What could be better than that? Amazing stories about actual cases, interesting and informative guests. Listen, watch, call in. Come ready to learn. And now your host for WK Law Power Hour, Paul Wallin.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Paul Wallin. I'm the senior partner of Wallin Klarich and the host of the WK Law Power Hour. We've been having 11 shows so far. Every show has different guests about a different legal matter. And today we have a brilliant lawyer from our firm that's going to talk to you guys about basically everything you need to know about beating a traffic ticket. There's very few people I know, and I'm old, who have not had at least one traffic ticket. And many people ask us, we get more questions about traffic tickets at our firm than any other thing, because of course that's the most common thing. So on today's show, you're going to be able to ask questions if you call in at 951-922-3532, and you can have any kind of traffic question you want answered. And I'm sure some of the questions that are asked will be questions you already have. Anyway, this is our 11th show. It's a very important show if you want legal power and legal knowledge, because you can't be a legal hero at a party and you can't protect yourself legally unless you know your legal rights. And that's what we do on this show. For example, we answer questions about filing for divorce, wondering about, can I get custody of my children? We ask questions about your DUI. What kind of a blood test should I take? Should I take a blood test if I'm accused of DUI? So this is the show where you can get all kinds of answers to your legal questions. And I want to say the phone number one more time, because I'd love for you to call 951-922-3532. We'll be answering questions throughout most of the program. And now, just so we're clear, my lawyer from our firm today that's on the show is Brian Okabayashi. He has been with our firm a short while, but he's a very great, aggressive lawyer, and he works in our Riverside and San Bernardino offices, representing clients for misdemeanor matters, but primarily for traffic tickets. We probably have handled 50,000 traffic tickets over my career, and that's a lot. And a lot of people don't understand when you have traffic tickets that they can come back and bite you in the rear. For example, many people don't understand that, let's say you're driving through the desert or anywhere, and you get cited for going 100 miles an hour on the freeway because it's late at night, and you might think you won't get caught, or maybe it's okay. If you show up in front of a judge anywhere in California, even if you have no prior record for traffic tickets, the judge has the power right there on the first day you go to court to pull your license. It will be suspended for 30 days. Obviously, that will be a massive increase in your car insurance and a huge fine. So that's one thing people don't know. Having the knowledge that you need when you're going to face a traffic ticket is very important, because if you have 2 points in 1 year, 4 points on your DMV record in 2 years, 6 in 3 years, you face the loss of your driver's license. And if you lose your driver's license, it's going to be difficult for you to get to work. And then if you lose your license, you lose your car insurance. And then when you want to renew your car insurance, you obviously are going to pay a fortune. So guys, this would be a good show for you to listen to. KMET 1490, you can listen to it online, and you can listen to me, and you can hear Brian answer the questions. Also, if you're on TikTok, and we got a lot of people following us on TikTok today, all you have to do is ask me a question on TikTok, and I'll answer it. I'm Senior Partner Paul Wallin of Wallin Klarich. That's my law firm. That was a question from TikTok I just got. And I'll be glad to answer any question that we can. One more time, it's 951-922-3532. Our law firm was founded 40 years ago, believe it or not. We have helped over 250,000 people with their legal problems in that time. We have offices throughout Southern California. And in addition to that, what I absolutely love to talk about when there's an opportunity, I love to talk about legal issues. And if there's time in the show, and of course, the big issue of the day is masks. And what is the law going to be about wearing masks in California and the requirement to have vaccinations? UC campuses, Cal State campuses have decided that if you don't have proof that you've been vaccinated, you will not be allowed to go to college in any state college in California or university. And that's not the only place. I believe that vaccine passports are now going to be the thing that is going to be required as this Delta virus continues to expand. I feel extremely strongly about the fact that people that are not getting vaccinated, unless that's on the advice of their doctor, are making a horrible mistake, not for just themselves, but for their family members, for their parents, for people they work with, because you do not know if you have the Delta virus. You do not know if you're going to infect someone else, and that's going to lead to their hospitalization, their death, or long-term COVID consequences if they get it. And I've tried my hardest to argue. I think we're going to have to take a break because, yeah, okay, we're going to be coming back after the break, and we'll have our guest, Brian.
You've been charged with a crime, and now you're facing the loss of your freedom. Where do you turn to get out of jail or stay out of jail? The law offices of Wallin Klarich. Call 877-4-NO-JAIL. With over 20 years experience and attorneys who work in your local courts, Wallin and Klarich can make the difference between jail and freedom. When you need help, make one call. Make it to Wallin and Klarich. 877-4-NO-JAIL. The call is free. Will you be?
Hey, are you okay to drive? Yeah, I'm fine.
17 to Central Jail.
If you've been arrested for DUI and are facing DMV in court hearings, it could mean losing your license, your job, and even your freedom. But Wallin and Klarich can help. Just call 877-4-NO-JAIL. With attorneys who know your local courts, Wallin and Klarich can make the difference between jail and freedom. Call Wallin and Klarich at 877-4-NO-JAIL. The call is free. Will you be?
When your children are taken by social workers, it may be the worst day of your life. When will I see my children again? Where are they going? How can I get them back? Who can I turn to for help to end this nightmare? The answers to all these questions are a phone call or email away. Wallin and Klarich have been helping defend parents who are battling the system to regain custody of their children for 40 years. Many of their clients have done nothing wrong to warrant their children being taken from them. Other clients may regret some action that they've taken with their children. However, in every case, the clients desperately need their children back. That's where Wallin and Klarich comes in. They know the dependency system. They will do all they can to work to try to get your children back with you. Take the first step and call Wallin and Klarich now for a free phone consultation at 877-466-5245. That's 877-466-5245. Or visit wklaw.com to chat with us. They'll be there when you call.
If you are facing criminal charges, your entire future is at stake. You need to act now to protect your job, your family, and your freedom. Call Wallin and Klarich at 877-4-NO-JAIL. Wallin and Klarich has over 30 years of experience in fighting for our clients' rights. With local offices in Riverside and San Bernardino, we are here to help you now. Call 877-4-NO-JAIL or go to wklaw.com. How much is your freedom worth? Call 877-466-5245. The call is free. Will you be?
When you have a warrant for your arrest, it's a very scary time in your life. When you drive a car, you have to be extra careful that you do not commit any sort of moving violation. You have to be looking over your shoulder, checking for police officers. Will you be stopped and thrown in jail? What a horrible feeling. For over 40 years, we have helped thousands of persons resolve their problem with having a warrant. In some cases, we can actually appear in court for you without you being present to recall the warrant. Depending on the facts of your case, you may never have to do 1 minute in jail. Stop living in fear. Call us now for a free phone consultation at 877-4-NO-JAIL. That is 877-4-NO-JAIL. Or go to wklaw.com. Isn't it time to get your life back? We will be there when you call.
We are back with the WK Law Power Hour. And today's guest is our associate at Wallin Klarich, Brian Okabayashi. Is that right, Brian? Get the name
yes,
right?
That's correct.
Okay, Brian. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Brian handles our traffic matters in the Inland Empire, Riverside, and San Bernardino County. And we handle traffic matters all through Southern California. So if you have a traffic matter and you would like to ask a question about it that might be helpful to you and other people, feel free to call at 951-922-3532. So Brian, first, when all our lawyers are on the program, people want to know a lot about their background. So can you first tell me where you grew up and where you went to school?
I was born in Santa Monica, California. I lived in Gardena when I was a young child, and then for most of my childhood, I lived in Temecula, California. I went to Temecula Valley High School. And then I did my undergraduate at University of California, Riverside, and I went to law school at Western State College of Law, which at the time was in Fullerton, but is now in Irvine.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know they had moved. Okay, what made you have a desire to go to law school in the first place?
Well, when I was in high school, I was trying to decide what career I wanted to pursue. And one of the things that I decided to try out, because a couple of my friends were on it, was my high school's mock trial team.
Oh, Sandra, welcome. How can we help you today? Do you have a question?
Yes, I had a quick question. So I was pulled over for speeding last week, and they cited me for going over 25 miles per hour on the freeway. So I was going about 90 miles per hour, and I'm wondering why I'm being charged with reckless driving.
Brian, can you answer that?
Sure, I'll take a look at that. Anytime that you're cited at a high speed, anytime you're over either 25 miles an hour over the speed limit or over 100 miles an hour, the officer does have the option to charge you with reckless driving, which is a misdemeanor and could be punishable by up to 90 days in jail. Typically, what they're looking for reckless driving is that the driver showed a willful or wanton disregard for the safety of other people or property.
And when you're driving that fast, especially when you get over 100, I always tell people who are shocked, especially younger people, that you're driving a deadly weapon, right? If you're driving 100 miles an hour and you're looking at your phone, or you're diverted, or you're really getting into the music and you're really not paying attention, the slightest, altercation in your driving could cause horrible damage to someone. Normally, people do not charge someone, Sandra, with reckless driving for going less than 100, or they require something else, weaving, etc. So if I was you, I would definitely hire a lawyer to try to get that charge reduced, because that's going to be an extremely high fine. And if they file it as a misdemeanor, as Brian said, you could be facing jail time. Do you understand?
I do now. Thank you so much for clarifying that for me.
No problem. You're very welcome. If anyone else has questions, dial us at 951-922-3532, and we'll be glad to try to answer any question you have related to the law. So you were saying you were in moot court and mock trial?
I was in mock trial when I was in high school, and then while I was in undergraduate, I participated in my school's moot court program.
And that mock trial and moot court both sort of inspired you to try to go to law school?
Yeah, that was probably what piqued my interest in the study of law.
And mock trial, just for people that don't know, mock trial is where you pretend you get a summary of a case, and you're either on the prosecution side or the defense side if it's a criminal case, or a civil case, you're the plaintiff or the defendant, and you basically are the lawyer. And normally the teacher is a lawyer, and they obviously can grade you on how you do. And most people either get inspired by doing that and want to be a lawyer, or they end up hating it because it's too nerve-wracking for them. And moot court is something similar, but happens when you're in law school. And sometimes actual judges come to law schools, and they actually sit and watch your performance, and there's a competition. And if you're in law school and you're on mock trial and you're in moot court, and you do well, that is something that you put on your resume when you're applying for a job as a lawyer. So those are how some people get inspired to go to law school or not. So when you went to law school, did you have a thought at some point about what kind of law you might want to practice?
Well, criminal law has always been what interests me. It seems to be the most, in my opinion, the most exciting and more fast-paced than some of the other areas of law that I, have taken classes on, like, civil law, probate, and things like that.
Is the main reason then you preferred criminal law because of the fast pace and the excitement, or were there other reasons because of your background or anything that would make you want to go into criminal law?
Well, I also liked the large amount of courtroom exposure. A lot of the other fields of law have very limited court appearances. So that was another thing that pushed me toward criminal law. I also participated in the criminal law internship program, and I clerked for the Orange County Public Defender and private criminal defense attorneys in the Riverside area.
Is there a reason why your prior experience before Wallin Klarich has been on the defense side of things as opposed to the prosecution side of things? Is that because of your basic beliefs in that side of things, or what?
Well, at the beginning, I mean, I was open-minded toward it, but I believe that people have a right to a fair trial, and just because somebody, is accused by the district attorney or whoever of committing some crime, that doesn't automatically make them guilty, as the, media would have you believe.
Right. So you do wholeheartedly believe in the presumption of innocence, is what you're saying, right?
Yes, I have a strong belief in the presumption of innocence.
Okay. So now let's talk about one of the areas of law you practice a lot at our firm, that is the defense of people accused of traffic tickets. The first thing I want to say before we start is that our law firm represents people accused of traffic tickets and murder, traffic tickets and rape, traffic tickets and child molestation. And so you would think that people that are accused of serious crimes, such as those kind of crimes, the people would be very, very, very worried. And sometimes people find it hard to believe that if you're accused of a traffic ticket, the people accused of a traffic ticket believe it's just as serious to them as a murder charge, because that will affect their life. And when you're a criminal defense firm, you can't pick and choose how you treat people or how much time you spend with people. You have to take a person who's accused of a traffic ticket and puts faith in our firm. We have to handle that case with the same seriousness and the same thoroughness as if it was a more serious felony. You agree with that, right, Brian?
Yes.
And it's how we have been practicing for over 40 years, and probably why we are successful as a law firm. So how many motorists will receive a traffic citation in their lifetime?
Well, it's hard to say, but almost all motorists will receive at least one traffic ticket in their lifetime. Most receive many, especially in California, in Southern California, where most people, are on the road constantly and drive everywhere.
So basically, everyone in their lifetime is going to receive at least one traffic ticket, and many, many, many more than that, right?
Most likely.
Right. So that's very different than a lot of the other crimes we represent, right? Because often if someone gets a drunk driving, you pray it's their only drunk driving and maybe the only crime they've ever committed. It's not the same with traffic tickets. It's not like you get one traffic ticket and you get, quote, religion, and all of a sudden you drive perfectly. Often people are pulled over wrongfully for traffic tickets as well. So if you get a traffic ticket, can you tell us, does that mean you're guilty, or what does it mean if you get a traffic ticket?
No, it's much like being charged with any crime. It's only an accusation of wrongdoing, and only a court has the power to render a judgment of whether or not you're actually guilty of the offense.
So just because you have a police officer says you committed this offense and you have to sign the ticket at the bottom, that doesn't mean you're signing that you're admitting to responsibility or admitting to guilt, right?
No, that's correct. If you are cited, you are legally required to sign the what's called a promise to appear. All you're doing is promising to appear in court on a certain date or to pay the fine. And if you refuse, it is possible that you can be arrested.
That's really important, people, to know what Brian said, and that is, when you sign the bottom of the ticket, some people don't want to sign it because they think that means they're guilty. That's not the case. It means you are promising to appear in court on the date and at the court that's on the ticket. So obviously read it first before you sign it. But if you refuse to sign it, number one, you can get taken to jail. So that would be one of the dumbest mistakes of your life, because jail's not fun, number one. But what is also important is once you sign it, you're going to get a copy of it. So don't put it in the laundry by accident and wash it. Keep it somewhere of importance. And the minute you get it, as soon as you get home, on your phone, your calendar on your phone or on the wall, wherever in the heck you keep calendar information, make damn sure you put down the date that you have to appear in court. Because if you don't show, that could mean you could get arrested. So you have to take it very seriously, right, Brian?
Yes, that's correct. If you don't show up, you could be, the court could issue a warrant, you can have your license put on hold, and you can face additional fees and fines for not appearing.
Could you tell us if you can successfully fight a traffic citation? A lot of times people think, oh, it's a waste of time. Is it a waste of time?
No, it's not a waste of time. You can successfully fight a traffic ticket as long as you, are prepared to meet the court's deadlines and you comply with all of the paperwork and possibly hire an attorney.
Some people don't realize that police officers cite. So Brian said you definitely can fight a traffic ticket, number one. And number two, people don't realize that police officers issue hundreds and hundreds of traffic tickets, right? That's what they do. Sometimes they could issue 20, 30 in a day. And no matter how good the police officer is, sometimes they'll issue the citation. They might write a couple notes on the back of their copy, and then they're off to the next case and the next case. And they probably write hundreds of speeding tickets alone or blowing a stop sign, right? So number one, by the time they get to court, which could be literally 6 months later after they've written the ticket, that officer's memory as to what happened on that day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you got cited is probably very close to zero. Now you, on the other hand, that's your only citation. You've been dreaming about that for 4 months. You've been worried, oh my God, you've hired a lawyer. So number one, you have a chance to beat it just on memory. And secondly, they have to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the highest legal standard in the United States. That means the judge you don't have the right to a jury trial, but the judge who hears your case must believe you are guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That's like by 95% of the evidence. So that's all reasons why you should consider fighting a traffic ticket. And now the best reason. Police officers are busy dudes, and police officers like to go on their vacations. And if you're a member of the CHP, I think you could get 5 weeks a year. And what if your traffic trial comes up on the day that the police officer is vacationing in Europe, Las Vegas, Mammoth? That means, guess what? He ain't going to show. And if your lawyer shows and he don't show, guess what happens? The judge says, people versus you stand up, or your lawyer stands up, and they say, are you ready to proceed, officer? And the officer isn't there. So you say, we make a motion to dismiss. And guess what happens? The case is dismissed. No fine, no increase in your car insurance, no nothing. So when someone at a party says it's a waste of time to fight a traffic ticket, they don't know what in the hell they're talking about. And Brian, I'm sure you'd agree with what I just said, right?
Yes, there's usually a very good chance that they won't show up. And if the officer doesn't show up, the ticket gets dismissed.
And one more last thing about this. Sometimes you get cited in Barstow and you live 150 miles away and you don't want to drive to Barstow. Guess who'll drive to Barstow for you? We will, because we've handled hundreds of cases in Barstow and all these smaller towns. Anyway, a ton more to go over with Brian about traffic tickets. Please stay involved. Stay on TikTok. Call us 951-922-3532. And let's go to a commercial and see you after the break.
You've been charged with a crime, and now you're facing the loss of your freedom. Where do you turn to get out of jail or stay out of jail? The law offices of Wallin Klarich. Call 877-4-NO-JAIL. With over 20 years' experience and attorneys who work in your local courts, Wallin Klarich can make the difference between jail and freedom. When you need help, make one call. Make it to Wallin Klarich. 877-4-NO-JAIL. The call is free. Will you be?
When your children are taken by social workers, it may be the worst day of your life. When will I see my children again? Where are they going? How can I get them back? Who can I turn to for help to end this nightmare? The answers to all these questions are a phone call or email away. Wallin Klarich have been helping defend parents who are battling the system to regain custody of their children for 40 years. Many of their clients have done nothing wrong to warrant their children being taken from them. Other clients may regret some action that they've taken with their children. However, in every case, the clients desperately need their children back. That's where Wallin Klarich comes in. They know the dependency system. They will do all they can to work to try to get your children back with you. Take the first step and call Wallin Klarich now for a free phone consultation at 877-466-5245. That's 877-466-5245. Or visit wklaw.com to chat with us. They'll be there when you call.
Hey, are you okay to drive? Yeah, I'm fine.
17 to Central Jail.
If you've been arrested for DUI and are facing DMV in court hearings, it could mean losing your license, your job, and even your freedom. But Wallin Klarich can help. Just call 877-4-NO-JAIL. With attorneys who know your local courts, Wallin Klarich can make the difference between jail and freedom. Call Wallin Klarich at 877-4-NO-JAIL. The call is free. Will you be?
When you are facing a serious criminal charge, it means you may be looking at many years in prison or doing up to 1 year in county jail. Most people do not know who to turn to in their time of need for expert legal guidance. What you do next can make the difference between ending up in prison for many years or having your charges dismissed and you going free. At this very critical time in your life, you need Wallin Klarich fighting for you. Wallin Klarich has 40 years of criminal defense experience, and they work very hard to do all they can to win their clients' cases. Wallin Klarich has a team of 10 criminal defense lawyers fighting for their clients every day. They help people with cases pending throughout California. They successfully defend cases dealing with murder, sex crimes, all felonies, as well as misdemeanors. Check out wklaw.com for some real client success stories. They offer a free phone consultation to answer your questions. Call them toll-free at 877-4-NO-JAIL. That's 877-4-NO-JAIL. They will be there when you call.
If you are facing criminal charges, your entire future is at stake. You need to act now to protect your job, your family, and your freedom. Call Wallin Klarich at 877-4-NO-JAIL. Wallin Klarich has over 30 years of experience in fighting for our clients' rights. With local offices in Riverside and San Bernardino, we are here to help you now. Call 877-4-NO-JAIL or go to wklaw.com. How much is your freedom worth? Call 877-466-5245. The call is free. Will you be?
Okay, everybody, welcome back to the WK Law Power Hour. And we're here with Brian talking about everything traffic ticket related. So first question of this series is, so many people call us about parking citations, and they're just upset about parking citations as other citations. But how are they different, Brian? How's a parking citation different than a traffic citation?
Well, parking citations don't go on your record, but you do need to address them, and you can contest them with whatever agency issued the parking ticket. You do need to address them because they could cause a hold to be placed on your license, and it could be sent to collections.
Okay, so a violation, even if you're convicted, does not count as a point on your DMV. But if you ignore it, the DMV can suspend your license, and that's a whole bunch of hurt. While a traffic citation, if you're convicted of that, counts as a point on your record, and can increase your car insurance. Okay, what are violations that are called correctable violations, and how does one correct them? How does that work?
Well, some violations are what they consider correctable. These usually are tinting, mufflers, even failure to have certain documents like proof of insurance, proof of registration. These can usually go about being corrected either by submitting proof to the citing agency or by appearing in court with proof that the offense has been corrected.
Right. So many of these kind of citations, if your muffler's not working or your tags are expired, you can show proof at the CHP and they'll sign off, and then you go to court and show it to the judge, and your case get dismissed. And they charge you like a fine, isn't it $75?
It's 25.
Okay, so you can get away really cheap if you can just get it signed off, right?
Yeah. Now there are some other issues with like proof of insurance. Now, if you do have insurance at the time that you were cited, then it can be corrected for the $25 fine. If you get insurance after the fact, then the court will usually lower the fine because the no proof of insurance is a pretty steep fine. It's about $1,000.
Wow. Okay. So if you are driving without insurance in California and you don't have proof, you can get fined $1,000. So I suggested before you have car insurance, because if you don't have car insurance and you're driving in California and someone rear ends you and you are not at fault and it's reported to a cop and they notify the DMV, you're going to lose your license for 6 months. And you don't want to lose your license because it's a major hassle for a million reasons. So please have car insurance. It's a huge deal in California. What about a much more serious thing? What about driving on a suspended license? Why don't we first talk about how do you get your license suspended in California? What are the main ways?
Well, the main ways that we see for people to get their licenses suspended is for driving over 100 miles an hour. The court has discretion to suspend your license for up to 30 days if you are convicted of driving over 100.
Okay. And what other ways can you get your license suspended?
You can get it suspended if you're determined to be what's called a negligent operator, and that happens by accumulating too many points in a certain period of time. Generally, let me see, I have it right here.
Is it 4, 6, and 8? I think it's.
Yeah,
is it 2, 4? Yeah, I think it's 4 points. I think it's 2 points in a year, 4 points in 2 years, and 6 in 3 years. The point is, if you get too many points, too many citations over a 1, 2, or 3 year period, your license is gone. Of course, if you get a DUI, in California, you can lose your license, and it goes up after 1 DUI, 2 DUIs. If you fail to pay child support, you can get your license suspended. If you get a judgment against you in a car accident, let's say you hit someone, it's your fault, and you are supposed to pay $10,000 to the other person to fix their car, and you don't pay, you get your license suspended. If you have a medical condition, if you fall asleep in the shower, and they have to come, the ambulance has to come, you can lose your license, believe it or not, indefinitely. So there's a million ways you can lose your license. And if you lose your license and you drive with a suspended license, Brian, why don't you tell them what the consequences are for driving on a suspended license in California?
Well, it's just like reckless driving. It's a criminal offense. It's a misdemeanor, and you could potentially face jail time. And that's the last thing you want to have happen.
Correct. Driving on a suspended license is one of the most serious infractions you can face, and it becomes a misdemeanor if you're driving on a suspended license for many things in California. So many people lose their license because they don't have car insurance. So it starts the cycle. So that's very, very important. Melanie, how can we help you? Do you have a question about a traffic matter?
Yes, I do. So I've gotten a lot of traffic tickets in my past. So how many traffic tickets can you get before your driver's license is suspended in California?
Okay, so as I was saying before, if you get, it's 2 points in 1 year, 4 points in 2 years, or 6 points in 3 years. And every point, every traffic violation is either 1 or 2 points. So a speeding ticket, a regular speeding ticket's 1 point, but speeding over 100 miles an hour is 2 points. Reckless driving is 2 points. So there's certain violations that give you 2 right off the bat, and the others are 1 point. So many times people come into our office and they say, you know, I'm not sure how many points I have. And we say, well, you better get your DMV record, because we can't represent you properly until we know what the consequences are going to be if you fall on this new ticket that you've gotten. And that's where we have to decide, well, do we fight the ticket, or can we try to get you traffic school? And we'll be discussing traffic school in a moment. But that's very, very important to know. And thank you very much for your question, okay?
Thank you for answering. Thanks.
No problem. Okay, so if you want to fight your traffic ticket, Brian, why don't you tell us how you go about fighting your traffic ticket?
Well, the first thing that you would want to do is contact the court and set up an arraignment date to appear, or if you hire an attorney, the attorney will do this for you, to appear, where you will enter a plea of not guilty and set a date for a trial.
Okay, so understand. So the first step, go. Okay, how can we help you?
Hey, how's it going? My name's Dakota. So I have a question. I got a ticket. I was going home from Vegas. Home for me is LA, by the way. And I was going 85 and a 70. Got pulled over, got cited for it. And issue is, I have a lot of points on my license. I can't afford another one. On top of that, insurance and whatnot. I was wondering if you guys have any advice here, if you're able to help me out with this.
Sure. Let me try to answer that one, Brian. I think that's exactly what we're just talking about. And it's really important that people are listening understand this. If you have a lot of points and you're worried about getting your license suspended, and you were going about 15 miles over the speed limit, and you don't want to gamble, then you could hire us and we could go to court for you, and we could ask the court for traffic school. And if we can get you traffic school, that would be tremendous, because all you have to do is do traffic school. That you'll have to pay the cost of the ticket, and depends on what you were cited for. If this is speeding, you'll probably pay $500 for the ticket, and then another $60 to attend traffic school. And then you go to traffic school. They have traffic school online, they have in-person traffic school. And if you show proof to the court, or we can show proof for you, then it will not be that point that would crush you with the DMV, and you won't have any car insurance increase. So all you have to do is be sufficiently responsible for two things: finish the traffic school and pay the fine. And lastly, don't get another ticket, and you won't lose your license. You got it, Dakota?
Yeah, but with traffic school, I did it about 2.5, 3 years ago. Is that going to be an issue, or is that still something I could redo again?
Luckily for you, you've done it long enough, so you can do traffic school once every 18 months. So since you haven't done it in 18 months, and they check. So if you haven't done it in 18 months, and another thing, they won't give you traffic school if you've gone way over the speed limit. But normally, if it's 20 to 25 miles over the speed limit, and the judge believes it's no more than that, you can do that. And lastly, sometimes if the officer's not a jerk, even if you're closer to 20, 25 miles over, and we tell them that you're about to lose your license, if the cop is a decent human being, and most are, he can tell the judge he won't oppose it. Because sometimes the court wants to ask the officer, will you oppose traffic school? So does that answer your questions?
Yeah, it does. That's tremendous help. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Thank you, Dakota. Okay, so when a person's deciding if they want to get a lawyer, Brian, for a traffic ticket, tell me some of the reasons why it's a good idea to get a lawyer.
Well, probably the number one reason is that an attorney will have experience negotiating with both officers and the court. Most lay people out there are probably going to find that overwhelming.
Okay, we got a lot of questions here today.
All right.
Okay, Ian, how can we help you today?
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I was hoping I could have a discussion with you about the COVID-19 vaccine.
Okay, well, we can sure do that. What would you like to ask?
Well, I was on TikTok discussing with you a bit the COVID-19 vaccine. I'm not for it, and one of the reasons why I'm not for it is because if this vaccine is good for us, why is it being pushed so hard on the people? I mean, if you know, for example, if someone was going to hand me $100 bill and say, "Hey, this is going to help you out," I'd be happy to take the $100 and say thank you. But if this is so good, why is it being pushed so hard on us?
Okay, that's a good question, sir. I think the start, I would say to you that 631,000 Americans have died, according to the latest statistics from the COVID, and all of those people have got it from another person. So the reason the government is asking people to take the vaccine is so they don't get COVID and give it to someone else who will die. So when you say pushing it on people, everyone has their own definition. I look at it differently. I say the government is trying to have no more people or less people die. And when people take the vaccine, there's an extremely low chance that that person will then get COVID. And now that they have this variant, that this is now becoming the disease, COVID is now the disease of the unvaccinated, because 99% of the people that are now getting COVID, some are dying, most are not dying, but they're having very, very bad symptoms, short-term and long-term. And who wants people to have that kind of pain? So
No,
I think when you
not.
use the word push, I'm not quite sure what you mean by push. They're looking at scientific data from scientists, and they're saying, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I have a concern with the numbers that we're being told. I generally like to not just trust what I hear on the news and from social media, but look around at what's happening around me. I know that I'm from the Yakima Valley, and more people around here are definitely against the vaccine than for it typically. But if I were seeing people around me in my life getting sick and dying and hearing about it, I could believe that those numbers were real. But I've heard that people in healthcare telling me that if someone dies, they could have various different things that cause their death, and COVID-19 is being stamped on that death certificate.
I understand.
To those numbers.
So let me just tell you something. I get it. That's your personal experience. First of all, let me tell you, I have 5 friends or family members of friends who died of COVID-19. Some were over 65, but one was in his 40s and one a female was in her 50s. So I guess my beliefs maybe are different than yours, because I know it's not fake. And I would urge you to watch TikTok videos, because you're on TikTok, actual videos of people that are dying. They haven't died yet, begging to now be given the vaccine. It's too late, and they die. And then you hear their family member talking about how she wished she had listened to the scientists and doctors, and their husband, her child, her brother would not have died. So you haven't seen any of those videos?
Well, I have seen those videos. I feel like there's videos on both sides, though. I've seen videos of doctors speaking out about the way that COVID-19 has been made out to be a lot more. It's been blown out of proportion by, and this has been, I mean, if you get COVID-19, I know there's people who are dying, but a lot of those people who are dying, most of them have underlying health issues, or they're in a critical condition.
Mm-hmm. You're right about that. But sir, let me tell you this. Have you
sorry,
talked to your own doctor about this?
Really quick. The flu, before COVID-19, the flu did the same thing to a lot of people. But we never made it the extreme issue that COVID-19 has been made into.
Well, some people say that, but I'm asking, have you talked to your own doctor about whether your doctor thinks you should get a vaccine?
Well, I'm actually, personally, I don't generally, let me back up. I don't believe in vaccines altogether, because I know that sounds nuts to a lot of people who agree with vaccinations, and I get that I'm not I don't fit in with the majority in saying this, but I do believe that we are made and born with the tools that we need to survive on this planet. And
well, sir,
I don't
understand
agree with
you. I understand. Number one, you have the right to your opinion, and I got to go off because we have another caller. But I'll tell you something. All I'll do is pray for you that you do not get this COVID-19. That's all I'll do. Pray that you don't get the COVID-19 or anyone you love gets it, because I would hate to be in a situation where you would call me back and say, God, I wish I had got the vaccine. But I pray that doesn't happen to you, sir. I pray you have a happy life, okay? And thank you very much for calling, okay?
Okay,
Thanks
let me
a lot.
say just one more quick thing.
Okay, Brian, let's talk briefly about moving versus non-moving violations, okay? What is the difference between moving and non-moving violations?
Well, a moving violation is any offense that occurs while you're operating a moving vehicle, usually like speeding, running a red light, running a stop sign, illegal U-turns, or any number of things you can think of. And a non-moving violation is something generally that isn't related to the operation of a vehicle, like a cell phone, a seatbelt, the fix-it violations. But I do have to caution that a minor not wearing a seatbelt is a moving violation.
It is. Okay, so what happens if you're driving a vehicle and they cite you for a cell phone violation, that you're using your cell phone? What happens then? Okay, thanks. What happens?
Well, it goes through the same process as any citation, but if you are convicted of a cell phone violation, you only need to pay the fine, and then you don't get a point on your license like you would for something like speeding.
And that's really, people don't realize this, and it shocks the heck out of me. But if you get a cell phone violation, that means you're driving your car at 68 miles an hour on the freeway, and you're talking to your significant other, and you're not paying attention. It's one of the most dangerous things a person can possibly do in a vehicle. And California decides that all you have to do is pay a fine, which I think is like $170, and you don't get a point on your record, and it doesn't increase your car insurance. I can't believe that's going to be happening very much longer, and I strongly suggest that you do not do that, because it is extremely dangerous, and I don't want you killing someone I love or yourself for doing that. Okay, Brian, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. It was tremendously beneficial to have you answer these questions. And can you tell me one last thing? Can you tell me if you think basically it's a good idea in almost every case to hire a lawyer, or at least to consult with a lawyer before you deal with your traffic ticket?
I think it is for everything. I mean, maybe not for a parking ticket, but for everything else, it would be worthwhile to at least consult with an attorney before deciding what you want to do.
100%. And definitely, if you get a traffic ticket, call Wallin Klarich, 877-466-5245. We'll answer your question for free. So next week, we'll see you back. Thanks again, Brian. And remember, legal power is what it's about. See you next week.